What's up, everyone? My name is Edson Cardona, and I want to welcome you guys to the hashtag Let's Kick It series. On these episodes, we get the pleasure to be joined by professional athletes, get a little insight on their background and how they made it this far in their athletic careers. A conversation between athletes about their journeys leading them to success. I hope you guys enjoy. What's up, everyone? Hope you're all keeping safe with the COVID-19 pandemic. And my hope is that we're all doing our part in standing in solidarity with the racial justice movement and against police brutality because Black Lives Matter. My name is Edson Cardona, and I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the hashtag Let's Kick It series. For all those who joined before, thank you for coming back. And for all those who are joining for the first time, welcome. On this episode, I have the honor to introduce Tommy Thompson. Born in Chicago, grew up in Sacramento, played for Indiana University 2013, played for the U20s in the World Cup in New Zealand in 2015, played for Sac Republic in 2014-2015 season, and played for Reno in 2018, and was signed for the Earthquakes since 2014. So without further ado, my good friend Tommy Thompson. How you doing, boss?
It's good to see you, man. It's been a minute.
I know, man. How's everything going? I saw you guys just got back from the MLS tournament. Unfortunately, you guys got knocked out, but it was a great run, no?
Yeah, it felt good to win the group. You know, a lot of people were doubting us, having Seattle in the group, having Chicago ended up being in there as well. They didn't think we could do it, but proved them wrong. So that was a big positive for us. And yeah, we wanted to win the whole thing, but we got knocked out, unfortunately, against Minnesota, but still really optimistic for the rest of the season.
No, man, it was great to see that MLS is back, and especially being from San Jose. I mean, seeing the home team go at it and win the group. I mean, it was great to see you guys. And for you, I mean, you had a great tournament as well. I mean, nonetheless, not being able to go ahead.
I said, I appreciate that. I think it was a good showing for a lot of guys on the team. Like my roommate, Jackson Ewell, was playing really well too. I think he was getting some national spotlight, which was good to see, because I'm always rooting for the American guys trying to make a splash, because it's hard. It's hard out here to compete against some of the top talent across the world, you know. So to see Jackson just ball out like he was doing, it was nice.
No, and I appreciate you too, man. I appreciate your time and being on this episode of the hashtag Let's Kick It series, man. I appreciate your time.
Man, it was funny. Like, even though we had some free time, it just felt like every day there was like something new that came up that just kept us busy. Like, it was 40 days in the hotel, but it actually went by fast. Like, I was never bored. You know, I was never bored because like our coaches were always like organizing meetings. Like, always like saying, oh, you got to go to the pool regen session, or, oh, you got to go to the workout. Oh, it's an optional lift, you know, all that stuff. So it was funny. I actually did feel busy that whole time. And so now it's just nice to just kind of just chill for a second. You know what I mean?
Yeah, get that downtime that you need.
Yeah, because you're just always on when you're in that environment. You know, you gotta be on and in that competitive mindset. So it's nice just to take a step back and just chill for a sec.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate you, and we'll get started with the interview. So, when did your journey as an athlete begin?
It started like ever since I could remember, really. My dad always had like little mini soccer balls around the house. So me and my two brothers and my sister as well would just be kicking them around for fun. And then that just slowly developed into going to like soccer camps, going to soccer clinics, and then just naturally progressed into playing more and more competitively.
Yeah. So when did you know that, like at a younger age, this was going to be kind of the sport that you're going to take on, and kind of grow into it?
Yeah, I just always really liked soccer. So I never got too caught up in thinking like, oh, I need to go pro or I need to go to this college. Like for me, it was just kind of my life and is how I wanted to spend my time. And it wasn't until I was, maybe like 15 or 16 years old that I was just really starting to think like, oh, maybe I can play for this university. Maybe I could then go Generation Adidas. Maybe I could go homegrown. And I started thinking about my professional trajectory. But when I was younger, man, I was just having fun with it.
Yeah, a lot of good times, Surf Cup, all those different
Yeah, lining up
tournaments that
against
you would
you,
go
bro. I
to.
remember when you were playing for Palo Alto, we were like, man, we gotta watch that guy. What? Don't let him score on us. And you did. You still scored on us, bro.
Yeah, it was good times, man. It's crazy how you turn like that hobby, into now something you can transform into a professional career. So once you did start getting looks at, for colleges, what was the process like for yourself now getting looked at for probably a lot amount of colleges and then turning it into Indiana?
Yeah. So I would say, like, I was always playing for clubs. Like, I never played for the academy. And there's like a period where a lot of the coaches were watching the academy games, but I
Mm-hmm.
never really did that. So playing for a smaller team up in Sacramento, I didn't get a ton of attention as a kid. Um, but I remember when we went to me and Tan went to Dallas Cup with Pac Tigres. That was one of the big moments where Indiana was watching our game against Chivas Guadalajara, and so after that, like that was when things started to really speed up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like just looking back, it just takes like a couple. It's just like that right moment. Right time, right place, right performance in front of the right coach, and things
Definitely.
can come together. But it wasn't like I had crazy offers like left and right, just because I was still somewhat under the radar, I guess you could say.
Yeah, like you said, having that one opportunity, not letting that go. That's kind of what most or some athletes have. They only got one chance to really prove themselves. And like you said, you had that and you're at the right time at the right moment and you were able to choose Indiana. How was that for you committing to Indiana, having your parents and your siblings also? Your brother was going to Stanford and was already there. And so how was that for you? And I know your brother as well, Tanner, was at Indiana. So how was that now being like, okay, my brother made it, my other brother's making it and I'm making it as well, so how was that process for you?
Yeah, like Tanner helped me out a lot actually, because he graduated like a semester early, so he went to Indiana like in the winter of at his like, so he graduated just a half a year early, and then he basically told me, he's like, yo, this is actually a really good idea. Like I'm getting acclimated to the environment, and it could be really good for you. Like you should just graduate a year early. Skip the whole last part. Just skip your senior year of high school and just come here with me and be a freshman. And I would have never thought to do that, but he saw the opportunity. Like being a young player in a college environment, it just challenges you even more, and it'll push you to become the
Yeah.
best player you can be. Because if you're in your high school soccer environment and like you're the oldest player, like you're probably one of the top players, like you're not being challenged like you would. But he actually gave me some really good advice there. It was just like, just do a full year, like just get it done with, and then just like come right away, and then you can go pro as soon as possible too after that. And that was a big moment really in my career, because then I left a year early, and then as a result, after my first season at IU, the Quakes offered me a contract. So it's funny just looking back how hindsight's always 2020, but he really helped me. Like I think having older brothers really helped me along, like just that path to pro, because it gets complicated sometimes. You don't know which step to take, and they definitely helped me with that.
Yeah, having that older brother figures, being able to transition yourself there already, having him, was a blessing. And so that transition now from being, I guess, a rookie to Indiana, and now getting that contract after your first season at Indiana to the Quakes. I mean, how is that transition for you? Because you're already growing rapidly, you know, into the soccer world. So how was it as a young player getting signed to the Quakes as a homegrown? I mean, must have been awesome at the time, you know? So tell me, like, your feelings and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy. That was when things really started to get serious for me. Because really, like, my junior year of high school, I was just going to, our turf high school field with, like, we were only able to get, like, 7 or 8 guys at times. Because that, guys were old enough now to where maybe they didn't want to play soccer anymore. Maybe, like, they wanted to start focusing on the more social side of high school because they're not going to be playing in college. So getting, like, a competitive group was difficult. And so I was, like, going and playing, like, 3v3s with some of just my close friends. And that was, like, the trainings that I was doing. And we did it a lot. But it was pretty far from, like, a professional setup, So to go from that, my junior year of high school, then, like, 6 months later being at IU training at the Indiana University facilities, and then 6 months after that to go straight into just the Quakes locker room. I mean, it felt like I lived a full, like, 5-year process within just 1 year. And it was crazy, and then I moved in with 2 of the veterans on the team, like Kari Stevenson and Sean Francis, like, veteran professionals. They're both from Jamaica, and it's just a totally different experience from what I was used to, growing up in Sacramento and then just, like, going to college at IU. And so it was fast, man. It was fast. And it definitely wasn't easy. Like, I had so much to learn. Like, looking back now, I had so much to learn. And I'm just grateful for that process to have started so early, because it just gave me time to really find my feet as a professional, because it's like drinking from a fire hose sometimes.
Yeah, you got to take in so much, at a young age, but you're able to have that mental capacity, to grow while playing at such a high level. A lot of players who do get pushed into that right away, don't get out of that, so what obstacles did you face coming into now the professional level, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you sign at a young age, there's a lot of hype. There's, like, a lot of people that are excited about your future, like, oh, he's the Quakes' new signing. He's only 18. Like, by the time he's 19, he's going to be playing for the first team. By the time he's 20, 21, he could be playing for the national team. And, like, the reality is, like, there's a lot of players in those pools. There's a lot of competition at all times, from American players, from Central American players, from South American players. I mean, Europeans, like, you name it. And so if you let that hype get to you to where you think that just because some people in the media are expecting you to play at a really high level really soon, you think that you're going to, and you think your coach is going to play you because these guys are saying that, like, nah, that's not how it goes. It's not how it goes at all. It takes a long time. Not for everybody. Some people just get hot right away. But, like, for the vast majority of players, like, there's a lot of good players out there. So you got to learn and like, expect to put in that work. And if you don't see the results right away, I think a lot of young players, like, get frustrated. They start thinking, like, man, I need to change teams. I need to change coaches. I need to play in a different country. And, like, sometimes that works. But, like, for me, it was always just, like, I need to keep learning. I need to keep learning. I need to keep learning. And so I stayed in San Jose. And eventually, like, things started to work out. But I think it comes down to just that humility to just accept the fact that, all right, maybe I'm not good enough yet. And it doesn't mean that I'm not ever going to be good enough, but it just means right now this coach doesn't think I'm good enough to play. That's fine. I'm going to prove him wrong. And then eventually I did.
No, man, I've seen you grow ever since you first started at the Earthquakes. Being able to see you grow has been, very admiring. I admire that. And it shows also the strength that you have as a person and as a player, because you said it, right? Coming in as an 18-year-old, you are expected to be the best player on the team, or if not that year, I mean, the second year you should be playing at your highest level, you know.
And then all of a sudden, if you don't get hot fast enough, you're just forgotten. And then now there's like another someone else, you know, there's someone else from Portland, someone else from whoever else. Everyone's looking at the next young guy. And then all of a sudden you're like 20, 21 years old and you're like, man, like what happened? You know, it goes quick. It goes quick.
Yeah. You get pushed into, like you said, that huge pool where if you don't make it at that time, then like you're pushed to the side, you know, and you had that hunger ever since you were at the Quakes, you know, like you said, so many obstacles that you did face. I mean, you overcame all of them and look where you are now, you know?
Yeah. Like coaches getting fired, you know, like new GMs, like GMs getting fired, like presidents changing. Like I've seen everything. And I probably already played with like maybe 150 players just with the Quakes alone. I've been on one team, probably played with like 150 different Quakes players.
Exactly.
Like, so it's just so much competition, you know, and that's what you sign up for. But that's where just that humility has to come in. You have to realize that there's a lot of good soccer players out there. And like, if you don't have that competitive edge, like bring something positive to the locker room and like bring in like work rate, bring in just the ability to push the team, even if you're not getting the attention, and you could get forgotten about. And so it's just always like that long-term growth mindset where you're just thinking like one day I'll be there, you know, even if it's in 3 or 4 years, like I'm still going to believe that one day I'll get to that point. And then finally, like my big break came in 2017, you know, so that's like 14, 15, 16, that's like 4 years in was when I first started to like really start consistently. And then we had a tough year in 2018. And then 2019 was when Matthias came in. And then that was like where things really started to come together. But it's a process, man. It's been a 7-year growth process. And like now I'm starting to see some of the results from it. But it's a long time, man. It's a long time.
Yeah, it is. And you start to sometimes break down or go to your lowest point, you know? And so what was it for you, like that factor that kept you motivated throughout those times? Because it is a long time, you know, it is a long time seeing everything either go up or break down, you know. It wasn't like that cycle where it just goes up.
Yeah, it's not like this. It's not like that at all. It's like, oh, you're starting, now you're not playing, now you're starting again, now you're not playing for like 6 months, you know. Just up and down. Like 2017 is the perfect example. Like that was my breakout year where I was starting, you know, I scored my first goal. Things were going really well. And then 2018 was like the worst year we had here. So right when I thought like, okay, I'm starting to make it, it was just like 2018, the worst. Like I was hurt 2 different times throughout the year. The team was struggling. A coach got fired. I mean, really, really tough year. And that's where I'm starting to think, man, I just worked for 5 years to finally like start to make things happen. And then now it feels like it's all come crumbling down already. Like it was a little bit of just a punch to the gut, you know?
Yeah.
And, but it was the same type of mentality, like the obstacles I overcame in 14, 15, 16, like I think they made me stronger and they prepared me for that moment. So then once I heard that Matthias was coming in, really doubled down on my bet. I was just like, man, like this is a fresh start. This is an opportunity to do something special. Like I'm just gonna give it my all. Like I don't know if he's gonna like me as a player. I don't know if he's gonna like me as a person, but I'm gonna really try to like make this work here in San Jose. And then if it doesn't work, I can hang my hat and say I tried. And then if it does work, I mean, it's a dream come true. And it's ended up being a lot closer to, you know, like feeling like a dream come true with Matthias because he's done a great job with this locker room.
Yeah, I mean, staying the way you did, that positive, you know, attitude, that motivation to keep pushing through, you know. A lot of players who are at that level end up, you know, getting pushed to the side and don't have that mentality, you know, that strong mentality to keep pushing forward, you know.
Yeah, and it's tough, man. I've just given up, you know, basically just a normal like social life where they're like just watching my friends in high school like go to, you know, the high school events and have a good time, just seeing each other consistently every weekend. And then especially like watching my friends in college. Like I didn't have any of that. Like I was basically just there for a couple months, and just like not having that type of community, I think was a big sacrifice. And it's funny now seeing like my friends go through like freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year, and then now they're out of college, and like seeing those relationships from college, like they still like it's just basically like a foundation that I just totally uh, passed up, which was a decision I made. Like I've always chosen soccer my whole life, but there's no doubt like it's like the older you get, you definitely see how much of a sacrifice it is to really chase after like this pro soccer dream. Because you know what it's like going away, like moving away from family, moving away from like girlfriends, friends, whatever it happens to be. And so it's tough. It's tough sometimes, but like I'm really grateful to be where I'm at now. But there's no doubt it just makes that journey, those ups and downs, a little bit more complicated for sure.
No, it definitely puts you, it gives you a different perspective on life, and how you've grown as a person, throughout all these different experiences. And talking a little bit more about when you're younger, the U20s World Cup or the World Cup in New Zealand in 2015, how was that for you? I mean, how was that transitioning now, being in a World Cup, being in that environment? I mean, something huge that soccer players want to be at, in one point of time in their life. So how was that World Cup for you, and what did that mean for you as well?
Yeah, that was my first opportunity, just being able to represent the United States, and it was crazy. Like it all happened so fast. I was in that first like couple of years of my professional career where I started to realize like, wow, like I'm here now. Like this is who I am. Because like growing up in Sacramento, just people didn't really care that much about like me as a player. Like I wasn't getting invited to national team camps. Like I wasn't on these rosters of like top players in the country. I was just kind of doing my own thing with my brothers up in Sacramento, and that was it. Like we knew of each other from just playing like the local teams, but that was all it was. So then to now have that all change so quickly, and just to be like taking flights to New Zealand to represent the U.S. and lining up against teams like Colombia or like Ukraine or like New Zealand in New Zealand. I mean, it was just a different type of just like excitement and just pride to wear the jersey. So it's something I'll always remember. And it was really cool too to just like brush shoulders with the top players in the country at that age, and like seeing guys like Matt Miazga go on to sign with Chelsea, or Zach Steffen go on to sign with Manchester City, and just to be able to think like, man, like we were out in Australia, like hanging out together, like on the beach, and like look where he is now. Like he's really doing it. Like he's really living that like soccer at the highest level. And it's just cool to come across guys like that, because it just gives you a better understanding of what it takes. And I mean, that's a whole different type of sacrifice for those guys, because those guys are leaving to go to Europe now. Like I gave up like the whole college, like high school stuff, but like at least I'm in America where I'll still like see like you want, like I don't even see much about these, but like if you go out to Europe, I mean you're gone, which is crazy. And those guys did it, and it paid off for them.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of sacrifice that you have to give up as a footballer or athlete in whatever sport that you're doing. And so, like you said, you had to give that up. And so after now seeing all the success that you have gone through, and who do you credit your success to?
I for sure credit it to my dad. Like I think my dad and my brothers had the biggest influence on me. Like my dad basically was my coach all the way up until I was like 16, 17 years old. And even as a pro, he's still coaching me a little bit now.
Yeah.
He slowed down a little bit. He's kind of giving me the reins, and just like, yeah, you might know a little bit more than me now with all these coaches you've had. You got to figure it out on your own, but we'll still go back and forth on a number of different topics, which I think is really cool to have someone in your corner like that. But when it comes to professional coaches, for sure, Matthias has had the biggest impact on my career. He's really helped me out, like put me in a new position at right back, and just allowed me to just have an opportunity to make an impact in Major League Soccer.
Yeah, I mean, you've been coached by plenty of coaches now in the MLS, and like you said, you've gone through so much in the earthquakes. And how is that for you, being put in different situations as a player, you know, on the field? How was that for you, being able to adjust, you know? Not only were you playing, say, left back, you're playing right back now, or you're playing right wing, or you're playing midfield. How was it for you to adjust now, being put in so many situations on the field?
Yeah, no, it was tough, you know, because I only played forward my whole life. Like I played as that forward that would be like making dart runs in behind, or I'd even be checking up and holding the ball off on people. Like that was like playing back to goal. Like that was what I was really comfortable with. And I played that all the way through my youth soccer career. And then at Indiana, I started as like that target striker. And then, you know, once it got to the Quakes, it all changed. Like I started up top with Wando my first year, a couple games. But then after that, you know, it was like, oh, he's right wing. Oh, he's left wing. Oh, he's attacking mid. Oh, he's holding mid. Oh, he's left back. Oh, he's right back. Like I played everywhere but center back on the field.
Or
And
keeper,
goalie.
huh?
Yeah, and goalie, not goalie, not center back. And that was hard. I mean, like having no experience in those positions and like just having to pick them up at like such a high level in Major League Soccer is being like, yeah, you never played center mid before, but here you go. You're starting against, you know, Atlanta United. Or like, oh, you're starting against, you know, like Lampard is in the middle. You know what I mean? Just like crazy to just line up there for the first time. But, you know, I think getting out of your comfort zone and like allowing yourself to pick up different positions is really important. It allows you to be versatile and just adds value to the team.
Oh, for sure. And it adds a different value as a player as well. I mean, being able to play so many positions, like you said, being versatile is like probably the best thing you can have as a player, because not only you're able to be looked at in different positions, but you also are consistent when you play those positions, you know? And so going on to all the players that you played against, and, you know, who can you say was like the best player that you played against or with? I mean,
yeah, I mean, Carlos Vela, he's a baller. Like he's like the first guy that comes to my mind. I'd say, or like Sebastian Javinko, when we were playing against Toronto in like 2017.
yeah.
I mean, those guys are just on a different level. And like we played against Manchester United, Atletico Madrid. It's like, you know, Martial, Juan Mata, all those guys. When you line up against them, or Sanchez, I mean, when you line up against them, you just see the difference. It's just like a little bit faster, with the ball, without the ball. It's like decision making. Like they always can just see that next play before it happens. And it's cool because once you get exposed to that, you get a better idea on like how you can improve your own game as well.
Yeah, I mean, getting put in those different experiences and situations, you really get to see like how the highest level is played, you know. And like you said, you get to see how these players think. I mean, they're right in front of you. I mean, you're marking one of the best players in the world, you know, in Europe. So it makes you that player to now be like, all right, these are the type of things that I can work on as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so last question, what advice can you give to your younger self, if you could, on the journey that you've taken so far?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the biggest thing was to just find a way to like fall in love with the game and like actually do things in a way where you genuinely enjoy the process of getting better. Because the reality is like improving is hard, and that's why a lot of people don't do it, because it's not fun to dribble through cones, you know, 100 times every week. You know, it's not fun to do the same juggling movement over and over again. it's not always fun. Like sometimes you just don't want to do it. So to figure out a way to train and to actually be able to have it bring a smile to your face somehow. And like for me, it was watching those Jogo Bonito videos with Ronaldinho and Ronaldo, Robinho, all those Brazilian guys. Like they just found a way to make soccer fun. Like whether it's soccer, tennis, or like football-y on the beach, or like just doing tricks. Like they found a way to just make improving your skills fun. And that's what I basically did ever since I was young. And I think it really got difficult when I was a pro sometimes to like keep that fun factor there because it gets so serious. And I think I did a decent job, but that was definitely the biggest reminder I'd want to tell myself is just like, don't lose that joy that you get from like doing a back heel or doing some type of juggling trick before practice, because that's what gets you through those difficult moments. Like when things aren't going your way, if you really know like you're going to enjoy just being with the ball and passing with the teammate, I mean, it keeps you going through like the toughest times. And that's if you want to make it as a soccer player, like there's like you have to go through those difficult moments. Like every single pro has those moments. And I think just having that type of mentality, that Brazilian, Jogo Bonito type mentality, just helps get you through those.
No, that's awesome because at the end of the day, it is the passion that you have and you have to love it. If not, then if you're not getting the joy out of the sport, then I mean, you're not going to be happy playing it, especially if you want to go into the professional career,
Yeah.
So,
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because the reality is like, if you're trying to do what it takes to be a pro, like you're going to be away from your friends. You're going to be away from your family. Like you're going to be on a different schedule the rest of the world. So like you don't have weekends to see people. Yeah. Like your schedule is so weird all the time. And so there's none of that outside like normalcy that you get. And so it's like what you do with that ball when you're with your teammates, or when you're at practice. Like that's really where your happiness has to come from, because a lot of times you won't be able to see your friends as much as you'd like.
Yeah.
And if you can't figure that out to try to find ways to like have that ball bring you that joy, I think sometimes like I've seen with a lot of players, they just get over it. They're like, I want to just live. Like I want to work a normal job. I want to, have like, I want to be in the same city as my girlfriend, all that type of stuff. And they give it up. But, I always chose soccer just because I love it so much.
Yeah. And if you can give us one moment in your professional career where it's like at the back of your head, either the World Cup or a goal that you score in the MLS or someone you're marking that you can say like, damn, like I remember like if it was yesterday, if you can give us a little bit of that moment, in your career.
Yeah, I think it was last year when we beat LA in front of 50,000 people at Stanford, and I scored the third goal, like for like just the game, the goal that just put the game away. And I just remember like it was like a deflection, but it went in, and I remember just like looking up at the crowd and just like hearing. That was the first time I had scored in front of the home fans in an MLS game. And to just see everybody and like to have the teammates come around me, give me a big hug. I mean, it just really felt like we had arrived, like as a team. Like it was a really cool moment where, we're taking down Zlatan's LA, right in front of everybody. And I think that's just where it felt like I like we'd arrived,
Oh, that's awesome, man. Those moments are what keep you going, being that excited on scoring or winning a game. I mean, is what keeps you motivated throughout your career, as a player.
Exactly. Because those moments come and then they go. And like sometimes you'll be going like a couple months, even like a year or two at times without like really missing that moment where it's like, man, that felt so good. Like that was special, And so you gotta just really take it in. When things are going well, you got to really try to enjoy it.
Yeah. Man, thank you so much, Tommy. I appreciate you being part of this #Let's Kick It series. Good friend of mine. Hopefully I get to see you soon. We can kick the ball around and, go out and eat something out here. You know, you're in Sac,
Yeah,
but once you come back to San Jose, we can get that going again.
yeah, sounds good, bro.
I appreciate you, man. Enjoy with your family.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Good to hear from you.